You are getting ready to build a workbench, and you're probably going to use construction lumber, probably 2x4s, because they're inexpensive and they come in the perfect size. You can use 2x4s to make slab tops, legs, braces, supports. They are perfect, except for one thing. Aren't 2x4s kind of, terrible? My colleague Scott Walsh just made a great video about 2x4s and how they're kind of garbage for workbenches because they're made out of the youngest trees, they're most likely to have the pith, they're going to be much wetter, and they're way more likely to warp and twist than any other construction lumber. And I agree with everything he said because it's all true. If you build your workbench out of 2x4s, your legs might fail and your top might delaminate. That's a fancy word that comes from the Latin phrase, "Oh, my workbench just fell apart." Instead of 2x4s, Scott and other prominent woodworkers suggest you use bigger construction lumber, 2x10s and 2x12s, probably with the pith in the board. Then you rip the pith out, leaving you with basically a pair of premium 2x4s, really good pieces of timber that are straight, mature, and have nearly quarter sawn grain. You take these pieces and then you build your bench as if you were using regular 2x4s. Which is a great strategy if you've got a jointer and a planer or at least a decent table saw. Ripping yellow pine 2x12s is no joke. But what if you are just some poor slob building your first ever workbench out in a garden shed with nothing but some janky hand tools? You're not going to make all those giant rip cuts by hand, so what are you supposed to do? Well, I suggest you build your bench out of regular 2x4s and don't worry about it. I've got 5 tips that are going to make your build a success and let you sleep at night. And tip number 1 is you need to toss the stacks. Don't go to the home center and just buy 12 random 2x4s. 10 of them are going to be garbage. You need to sort through that stack of boards and be ultra picky. Do not buy boards that have the pith in them. Do not buy boards with giant knots. Do not buy boards that already have warp and twist or anything like that. They're not going to fix themselves. You are looking for clear vertical grain that runs from one tip of the board to the other without run out in the middle. And then when you're done and you've found your boards, restack all the ones you didn't take. That will keep the fine people at the home center from hating you. Once you get your wood back to your shop, then you need to crosscut and store it. Crosscut means cut it to approximate length. Boards lose almost all of their moisture through the end grain, so you want to expose fresh end grain and get that moisture change happening. Now, once you've got your boards back to your shop, you want to store them for a good long period of time. Does that mean stickering them and carefully stacking them someplace? No, at least I don't. I keep all of my workbench wood in this disorganized pile of crap in the corner of my shop, and I leave it for a full 4 weeks. 2 weeks is good, but after 4 weeks, you really know which boards are going to give you problems and which ones are going to behave. While we're talking about workbenches, we are having a plan sale. Everything is 50% off at rexkrueger.com, not just workbenches, but also shop projects and furniture projects. It's all half off, but only until Christmas, and we're doing an extra special deal that I'll tell you about in just a minute. Tip number 3 is buy extra wood, because you never really know what's going to happen. This board looked okay in the store, but now that I have it back at the shop, it is a disaster. It is horribly warped and twisted. I can't make anything out of this. This board looks like it should be terrible. It's got grain run out, big knots, swirly grain. This should have twisted horribly, but it didn't. This board's been in my shop for months. It's straight as an arrow and ready to use. Wood is unpredictable, so buy extras. At $3 a board, you can afford to. Okay, your wood is cross-cut to length, it's dried out, it's ready to go. You're gonna make a component, you're gonna make a leg for your workbench. But before you do, you need to plane your surfaces. I am sure you've seen a video where somebody has taken a rough, disgusting surface like this, slathered it in glue, clamped it to something else, and said, hey, it worked. Yeah, it worked on camera. Who knows what happened down the road? Gluing up an unplaned surface like this is asking for trouble. Whether you do it by hand or by machine, you need to smooth this surface out. That's what wood glue is looking for. Smooth, straight surfaces that are extremely close together. That's how it works the best. The good news is planing it up is quick. Let's do this surface right this second. I'm going to do it by hand. Plain old Stanley jack plane. Here we go. I just said plain old jack plane. And my wood is obviously a bit cupped. It's hollow in the middle. So I'm going to work a bit more on the outer edges. Now this board is a little bit stubborn. It's got one super low spot right in here, and I need to bring the rest of the board down more. I don't have to eliminate it totally, but I gotta get close. Okay, that tiny bit of fuzziness there isn't gonna make a bit of difference. I've got a smooth, clean surface. I'm not even gonna do the rest of it. I'm gonna prep my other surface, put the two halves of my leg together, let the glue dry, and then plane the rest of it. Richard McGuire has an outstanding 20-minute long video on gluing up workbench legs. I am not gonna repeat everything he said. I'm just gonna link to that down in the description. My last tip is free your mind. In the last 20 years, woodworkers have become obsessed with slab-top benches, mostly because of the brilliant French Rouleau style bench. They're amazing, but you don't have to build a slab-top bench at all. Consider instead the English style workbench. I've got two of them right here. And they use a clever system of interlocking planks, just regular construction wood arranged like a torsion box or like floor joists. These give you a structure that eliminates the need for a slab. You don't have to laminate up anything at all. These benches use less wood, they're less expensive, you don't need any machine tools, they're relatively easy to build, and they have hidden benefits beyond all that stuff. Check out this ugly 2x4 right in the middle of my bench top. It's got a huge knot, swirly grain, and grain runout on both sides. This board must be a disaster, and in the year it's been in this bench, it must have bowed and twisted like crazy, right? Wrong. This board is dead flat and perfectly straight because it's fixed down to this rigid structure of interlocking boards. Now, this is a terrible 2x4, and of course, I can't keep it from expanding and contracting, but I can keep it from twisting and bowing because it's fixed to this rigid structure. This structure allows you to use even very marginal wood and get a good workbench. The Brits did it all the time. If you're getting ready to build your first woodworking bench, I've got a pair of traditional English designs to get you going. My original English joiner's bench is a heavy, stout bench that's also easy to make from common construction lumber. My minimum timber bench is stripped to the bone with 40% less wood to save you money. Both builds are approachable, and the plans for both are on sale right now. They're 50% off, but only until Christmas. If you really want a slab top design, check out my Quick Stack bench. It is an all-hand tool slab top workbench that is also knockdown. It comes apart and goes back together quickly and easily. It's a bench that goes wherever you need it to go. In addition to our planned sale, we are also doing a course sale. For the first time ever, we're putting our minimum timber bench course and our Quick Stack course on sale. 30% off, and they come with the plans included for free. This is the first time we are ever offering a sale on these courses, and they are made to take you through every step of the build process and get you going. And listen, no matter which workbench you build, you don't need to fear the 2x4. You just need to learn how to use it. And anybody can do that. Thanks for watching.